indulgence, before I deliver the statement on behalf of the Coalition of Civil Society Friends of the UNCAD, may I ask everyone to rise so that we may observe a moment of silence for those who have died around the world in the fight against corruption and whose sacrifices have given many of us the space to even talk about it in an open manner and the opportunity to continue the struggle. May I ask everyone to rise, please. Thank you. Success in the fight against corruption depends on those courageous enough to report or denounce corruption at work and in society. We note with grave concern the killings of journalists, anti-corruption activists, and those who defend them, as well as a large number of citizens and workers who are sacked, suspended, or removed from their jobs, unlawfully prosecuted, imprisoned, subjected to physical attacks and threats, or otherwise harassed.
We put an issue on the agenda that was not on the conference agenda and helped to set the ball rolling for our own organization on this issue.
We really need measures to protect whistleblowers within companies, not only with the private sector.
The most difficult is really the vulnerability and the risk that people like me face in fighting corruption, because you're dealing with a powerful person who's got the resources to mobilize against you. You could be harassed, you could be intimidated, you could be sacked from your job. Your own personal security is also at risk, and that of my family.
There are a lot of powerful people out there who, by exposing them to the public, we are undermining their position.
Mechanism for reporting, recording, and acting on the statement of anti-corruption activists.
I was illegally dismissed in October 2006 when my employer retaliated when I filed corruption charges against him, which is meant really to discourage me, to harass me.
When we refused to follow the transfer orders, my employer charged us of gross insubordination. And when we held protest rallies, we were charged of grave misconduct.
Malheureusement, la philosophie fondamentale du gouvernement en Algérie,
unfortunately, the principle of the administration in Algeria,
se résume dans la formule suivante: qui n'est pas avec nous est contre nous.
Can be summarized in a nutshell like, if you're not working with us, you're working against us.
We face the same kind of threats and intimidation. It has been always useful to use the TI name. That if you push it further, if you're going too far, then you are tarnishing your image in the international community.
Why are whistleblowers at such great risk? The whistleblower is actually a witness. And in many cases, the prosecutions of corrupt people will lose the case because of lack of evidence. But when the witness is there, with first-hand knowledge about what is going on, is there willing to stand at the witness box and testify, that becomes a real threat. So we have to look at the case of whistleblower much more seriously than I believe we are doing.
What we see a major recommendation that we're pushing, one is protection mechanism. What do we mean by protection mechanism here? Protection from job termination or transfer, confidentiality when we give information, legal immunity or protection from defamation suits, and legal assistance or services of counsel.
Something like whistleblowers and those individuals and organizations who defend them. And so then there's a little bit more leeway then to use this as a way to pressure governments and groups that are harassing and threatening and intimidating and even harming whistleblowers and anti-corruption activists.
The Coalition has noted with concern the increasing trend of harassment, suspension and redeployment of state anti-corruption agencies and reformers, especially by newly elected governments. It calls for the independence, the protection and security of tenure of these reformers and agencies in accordance with the Convention. And I think we refer in particular to Article 6 that talks about anti-corruption agencies, but we obviously also see this as something going beyond the anti-corruption agencies.
We have the draft declaration on the protection of whistleblowers and anti-corruption advocates, and we're going to circulate it to you now.
There's a lot of risks involved when we fight corruption, but I'm happy to do that because it's gaining results.
We should stand up for the good values, for integrity in our own societies. If one wants to do something which is different, there will be threats. And I think it is important to have this kind of global movement in order to address this issue.
These are people facing grave dangers, and they need an international framework for assistance.